listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. Before we get started, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Range Minded Podcast, where you can interact with us, send us feedback, and offer episode ideas. This is episode 113, a very special episode where we interview Steve's son, Brigham. We talk to him about growing up around firearms, what his friends' views on guns are, and ask him a ton of other questions. Thanks for listening, as always, and we hope you enjoy episode 113 of Range Minded, the Brigham Zimmerman interview. Hello and welcome to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and again, blessed to be joined by
Steve Zimmerman.
And that's not the only person in the room right now.
No, we have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
Well, I wouldn't call me special.
I've had to call you special.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, well, that kind
It's my son.
That's crazy. Yeah, let's. Who are you over there?
I'm Brigham Zimmerman.
The Brigham Zimmerman.
Yeah, I guess
one and only that we know of.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, son of Steve Zimmerman. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to look. I'm looking to see the resemblance.
Basically a mini-me.
Kinda, yeah. He's got more hair.
Barely.
Yeah, I'm losing it.
Are you really already?
Yeah, I got some bald spot.
That's all right. Hey, a widow's peak is not a bad thing. It's a mark of distinguishment. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 17, almost 18.
Almost 18.
Man.
What happens when you're 18?
I get to start carrying.
See, he's my son. You can tell he's my child.
Must be. What? And no, this is going to be the real test. What kind of gun are you going to carry?
A Glock.
Yeah, see, okay.
What model?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we
Depends
go.
on what I'm buying him, I guess.
Yeah. So, but we wanted to kind of talk about the family, bring in the family, talk about what it's like to live with gun enthusiasts.
So originally, I'm not scared to say this. Originally, I was trying to get my wife on the show. When I brought
I wasn't going to say
when
it.
I brought this up to Mark, this idea, like, it's an amazing idea, but it would have been so much more interesting.
Oh, sure.
If it was my spouse sitting next to me.
Well, and
it is for sure.
Just I'll say it out there. My fiance will come out and talk about everything, and she's like, just as long as I can talk freely.
It would have been so awesome, and maybe it'll still happen.
We can maybe we need like the 150th spectacular or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's important. So it's important to us.
Maybe if I promise her a Las Vegas vacation or something,
Boom, there you go.
Maybe I'll go to SHOT Show next year.
I was going to say plot twist at SHOT Show. So, why don't we start from the beginning? Brigham, are you into firearms? I mean, obviously talking about carrying so far, I'm going to guess yes.
Not as much as my dad is, but I fully support the Second Amendment.
Cool. That's a great start. So how did you kind of first get into firearms? Obviously, like having a father into firearms and stuff. How did you kind of first decide that was something you were interested in?
I don't know. We'd go shooting a lot when I was younger and with family and friends. And so I guess I've never known a different life of not knowing how to shoot or anything.
You're just growing up with it?
Just growing up with it, yeah.
Did you ever feel like I like pushed you into it or strongly encouraged you to feel a certain way about firearms?
No, I think I just fell into it myself.
That's cool.
Good. That's something I've always kind of worried about because I've got Brigham and then 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And they're kind of funny. They ebb and flow. Like sometimes they're really, let's go shooting, and other times like, ew. And I'm like, eh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, kind of because it reminded me. So my dad, when I was little, he tried to get me into cars, and like for whatever reason, I wasn't really into it. But then once I started driving, I actually got into cars a little bit more.
You understood it.
And yeah, but like when you're 7 years old, I mean, you don't know what it's like to drive a car, so. And I think, and here's a good question. What's the age that you remember that you started shooting, like the youngest you started shooting?
I don't know. I just remember first starting out with a BB gun and then just moving up.
As long as you can.
As long as I can remember. I still have that BB gun.
I remember the first time I took him shooting.
Yeah?
Yep.
Tell us a story.
He was in his car, like baby carrier.
Really?
He was too young to talk. And it was cold outside, so we left the truck running. I shut the doors. I understand the purpose of hearing protection. So, yeah,
car's pretty well sound insulated.
Yeah,
so.
we kept the door obviously unlocked. The door was closed, and we shot very close enough to the vehicle to where if I needed to be there, I could hear him crying or whatever, and I could take care of the business. But so he has literally...
He's been out there all the time.
Out of the womb, he's been involved in firearms.
That's cool, man. But you said you're not as into guns as your dad.
Yeah, I guess to explain it is like I can't be around him as much, like, because
Sure.
he was working here and in a store in Idaho Falls, so he's always around him, so he knows him a lot better than I do. And that's what I mean by I'm not into him as much, is like I can't define, like,
Or dedicate your time to it as much.
I guess that's the word I'm looking for, is
That makes
dedication.
sense. Interesting. Do you have a lot of friends that are into firearms, like in high school and stuff, or
Yeah.
most people?
Yeah, I have a few friends that we've gone shooting a few times out in just the desert, just having fun.
Yeah.
Being responsible, of course, but having fun.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that I wanted to talk about was, firearm safety and kind of responsibility. Obviously, I can just tell from, what your dad has talked about on episodes past, is that he's really drilled it into your head about safety and responsibility and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I hope so.
And
I don't feel like I do it enough, but you might have a different perspective. You might be like, I know, Dad. I've heard this a million times.
Yeah, but you can never stop knowing. Like,
Hey, look at that. He's got such a head on his shoulders.
wow, so I think
I'm a little biased.
yeah, tell us about like how, at least from your perspective, how your dad kind of walked you through safety and all that, and how that got ingrained into you.
I guess it was just always just shooting. Like when we went with family, I was always told stay by them, like don't go in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're shooting, go up to the firing line where everybody else is. And so just kind of like watching and learning, and also being told what to do, just kind of drills it into your head.
Yeah.
So you know what to do.
And you got to have a little perspective too. So my father-in-law is a retired sheriff. He was sheriff
Okay.
for a very long time. He's also a firearms collector.
Yeah.
And so he's, at least on my in-laws side, his mom's side of the family, like there's a lot of firearms talk.
Sure.
Yeah.
On my dad's side, on my side of the family, we really didn't. Guns were not any kind of priority or anything. My dad has some guns, and though we talk about safety, like shooting, what's it like shooting with Pa?
Oh, it's scary sometimes.
It's scary.
Really?
My dad is so old and so.
Not a podcast listener, I'm guessing.
No, and just like he's hard to teach.
Sure.
Like, because things were just, he didn't grow up with firearms
You
at
can't
all.
teach an old dog new tricks. That's the thing.
And so he doesn't necessarily understand the priority of safety that I'm trying to teach my family and what I understand. Mm-hmm. And obviously what my in-laws side, where law enforcement literally his entire professional life.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's
Are there any stories or any like incidents that you remember from your childhood, or like lessons that you learned like that stick out in your mind?
Not really, no. Just I don't know. Like nobody's ever gotten shot from
that's a good
messing
thing.
around, like people not paying attention. A lot of like my mom's side, like all of the kids are a lot younger, and so when we go shooting,
you're the oldest grandson.
I am, yeah. And so all the grandkids, when we go shooting Thanksgiving Day, you gotta have to keep an eye on them, and sometimes they won't be paying attention, and you have to yell at them.
So you've been the one to yell at the other kids, or?
Yeah, a few times.
And it might be a little unfair of me, like I really, because I feel like he understands and he knows safety, that maybe I put a little undue pressure on him sometimes. Like he mentions, every Thanksgiving we go shooing.
You're the resident RSO,
And
pretty
so,
much.
so he's my second set of eyes.
Yeah.
And he is very responsible when it comes to that. Like he does take safety seriously. And a lot of the younger nieces and nephews, well, just nephews.
It's usually nephews, yeah.
They like it when he helps. He's good
Nice.
with talking to the youngsters, and
Yeah.
they look up to him obviously because he's, like I said, the oldest grandson.
Cool.
He's pretty good at it.
That's good.
Yeah.
So then when you do turn 18 and then eventually like 21, do you want to, collect firearms kind of like how your dad does and have every gun known to man under the sun?
I wish I did.
Not every, well, I can't get every gun known to man, but yeah, I want to have a few safes. Just,
Wow, this is definitely your kid. A few safes.
A few safes.
Wow.
He knows that I might have a few safes.
Maybe, yeah.
maybe.
Maybe some he doesn't know about.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So now, do you know where like firearms are stored in the house? I mean, I imagine your house is just, they're just lousy with guns everywhere.
I just pile them up in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
in the kitchen, with the kitchen knives.
It's kind of like how people keep papers
Yeah.
like just on their coffee table all the
Oh, yeah.
time. They're just pistols.
He's got a
ARs.
paperweight pistol.
Yeah, I do. No, I don't.
But do you know,
Or
like,
do I?
do you know, like, kind of where everything's stashed and, like, how to access them if you need to? Or
I don't know how to access them, but I know where they are.
He does. So that's one thing. Not that I don't think he's ready to. He doesn't have the combos to the safes yet. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I don't trust you by any means.
No, I understand that.
It's just I got to be able to know when the time is right. And I can open a safe pretty quick.
Sure.
And
That's for sure.
And he's not very far. Like the way his room's situated from our room isn't very far. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy for me to here.
Yeah.
We're going to keep somebody safe.
One of the other things I wanted to ask about, we've talked about it a few times about like situational awareness and stuff, and just kind of the non necessarily gun specific things, but maybe like the life skills that like being around firearms has taught you. Like, you know, do you feel like you notice more than your friends do, like kind of paying attention to what's around you? You can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, like I guess I kind of make it a game. Mm-hmm. That, and him and I have done this for a long time, where like if we go to the mall or somewhere that's kind of crowded, you kind of like point out like minor things, like if somebody has a habit of like bouncing their leg when they're sitting, or just like checking for their phone a lot. You just kind of pick up, like, notice those habits, and I tend to do that at school too when I'm going. Like, if I have something on my mind, I try to get it off, like, just looking for little like things that are different, out of place at school.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I mean, do you think a lot of your friends do that, or are they all just into their phones? And...
my best friend and I do it a lot. Uh-huh. Like, we try to see how many things we can spot out.
Oh, really?
But a lot of my other friends are usually, like, they're not all on their phones. They're just kind of more absent-minded about that stuff.
A little more in the white.
Yeah.
I guess, have I ever talked to you about
Yeah, you have, but...
color codes?
Yeah. Like a couple times.
A few times.
Yeah. So we see, like, we were at the mall yesterday. At the Boise Mall, and man, that all it is condition white. That's it.
Oh, nobody knows what's going on at all there.
And so, or when we go to restaurants, like we sit and, hey, how many exits? Where's the person with the orange sweater sitting? You know, like just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, I must have taught him something, because he does. He sits there. He's told me, sits there in school, and well, if this happens, I'm going to go here first and do this. And
yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of not probably tough to think about, but I'm sure you probably thought about it before. Like, if there's an active shooter situation in your school, like, I mean, you must have a plan and like know what you're going to do.
Depending on what classroom I'm in, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucks that you have to think about that nowadays.
Yeah, it does, but
do you feel like an added stress or something? Do you feel like that every day at school? That's like a concern, like, oh, I'm not going home today or anything. Do you feel like that?
No, it's not that I feel like that. It's just I want to be prepared, like, for anything. Like, if there is a school shooting, I want to make sure that I can keep everybody else in the classroom safe, even if it means that I have to kind of lose my life or lose something else to keep everybody else safe for it.
Do you think that's kind of a heavy burden, or you feel like that's a pretty big decision for a kid your age?
I guess it kind of depends on the kid. Like, I know some kids are probably not willing to risk their life to keep others safe, but I know a lot of kids who would.
Do you have friends or know other folks at school who are like stressed about active shooter situations or anything like that, or they just don't even think about it? Or
we think about it, but like, it's not a added stress on anybody, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just I realize I haven't really had a chance to talk to somebody who, like, you know, is still actively in school. And
yeah, because I imagine, like, when you were in high school, that
was before active shooter
that was pre-Columbine, right? So
no, it was after.
I guess, yeah, that was 99, right? Columbine.
Yeah, and I graduated from high school in 2006.
Okay.
So you were alive then, right?
I think so.
You were 4.
Wow.
At 06, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But no, yeah, we didn't have active shooter drills. We had like tornado drills and fire drills and stuff. But yeah, it was right before, I think, the age of that happening. And that's, I mean, you have those, right? And
we don't have active shooting drills, I don't
really?
think. Yeah.
Interesting.
At least we've never had one at my school.
It might depend on the school and the region and stuff too, or whatever. But, you know, because sometimes, I mean, you hear that some kids are stressed out about and worried about, you know, what's going to happen at school, and maybe they aren't going to come back, you know, the next day.
And we hear that that. I think a lot in the media, at least it seems like that's what's getting posed by moms demand action and the anti-gun groups. And I'm sure kids worry about this every day.
And maybe they do, and those are valid worries.
Yeah.
It's valid to feel that way or whatever, but I was just kind of curious to think, to see.
And maybe I'm just being ignorant, but in the United States, that doesn't happen as often in other countries. I just don't think that. I mean,
that school shootings don't happen as often, or that people aren't as worried.
Just the violence, at least towards the youth, that way with firearms is not as. It's a different kind of violence. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Inner cities and stuff. Obviously, we see a lot of gang violence and stuff in inner cities, but it's not as. Well, like, for example, with Chris. I talked to Chris not very long ago, Aussie Chris.
Yeah.
And it was just when this stuff was starting to kick up, this whole protest and violent stuff happened. He's like, I asked him, I was like, well, you ready to move to the States yet? He's like, no way. Look what stuff's going on over there. Like,
not a good time.
Like, dude, that's not happening in every city in the United States.
Yeah, that's true, too. Yeah. And that, that might be like, because, you guys live in a more rural area, too.
It's probably true.
Big city, it might be something different or whatever.
Yeah.
But do you have any friends or people that that are, like, staunchly anti-gun?
No. A lot of us, like, I know a few kids who are kind of not towards the gun part of everything, but they kind of, they're living by kids who own guns and everything, so they're a lot more open-minded about it where I live. But I don't know. I don't know anybody who's strictly anti-gun.
Sure.
Yeah. Again, I think it's because we're such a rural community that, some of these farming communities and families have been there for generations, and they're just raised with at least one gun in the house.
Yeah, it's more of a tool of life, or part of life rather. That it's a tool like we've talked about before.
So, what are some of your? Do you have any firearm goals or anything? Like, is there anything that you think you can use with what I've taught you?
What we have in the house, just. I'm positive that if needed, I could use anything that we have.
What do you think the roles of the firearms in the house are for?
Protection.
Okay.
In the house, but if we're going to shoot, then they're to practice. Just making sure that we can. How do I word this? That we are good at shooting, I guess is the right way to put it.
That we're safely using the tools.
Using the tools. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's got it. So do you think you're a pretty good shot? Do you think Steve's taught you pretty well about how to shoot, or? Yeah,
I'd like to be better.
Sure.
I know there's a lot of things that I could do better, but you're a better shotgun shooter than I am.
But I want to be a better long range than anything.
Yeah, I was going to add that to my next question was kind of what subset of, kind of shooting are you? Are you more like a, competition or hunting or long range or?
I like shooting longer ranges just because of what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But I like shooting, like, pistols are fun, but he can outshoot me in pistols.
I may have had a few more hours behind the trigger.
Just a few.
Yeah.
But, sometimes I get lucky with other, like, shotguns, he said. But
smoked me.
Yeah, that was what did you get, like 30 out of 100?
No, it was like 23 or 22 out of 100.
Is that when we went with
when we went to Idaho, the one in Idaho Falls? Yeah.
You did a little better, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
50% better.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's still pretty good, man. So, do you well, you said when you turn 18, you get to carry, and you want to carry concealed when you're ready, when you're old enough?
Yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Just because if something happens, it's better to have a gun and not need it than need it and not have it. And so just carrying it is better than having no protection at all. Like, I carry a knife almost everywhere I go because it's just a habit that I picked up from him. Because it's pretty much, like, I think, in my opinion, it's preparing me for concealed carry in a way.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of a way that I feel safe, and I feel like I feel safer in bigger places just because I know I have protection, that I will be fine if something actually happens.
Yeah. Do you, is there anything you're nervous about or like worried about with concealed carry? Maybe something you don't know yet, or?
I'm not nervous about anything, and if I have questions, I have.
Yeah, I
somebody.
think right before we get to that page in his life, we're definitely going to go through some classes together. I want him to, because it's different from me teaching him, and when somebody else like Bill or Leroy or somebody else spends the time with him in the classroom, or Pete, our buddy in Idaho Falls, some of these people have different life experiences that really put it in context. Mm-hmm. And because it is different learning from your dad than it is learning from a different instructor.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you said you have your driver's license, right?
Yeah.
So, it's probably one thing like going through driver's ed, and then
actually being on the road.
Your dad takes you out and said, we're going to go driving. And I don't know how different. Steve drives. I've never driven with you, but
how do I drive?
Well, it depends. Like if we're on the road, he obeys the laws of the road, but dirt roads, like if we're in the Tahoe, sometimes we just go have fun.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about scratching the Tahoe.
Why not?
I'm worried about scratching the Ford.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The Fords are delicate. They can't handle scratches.
Found on road dead. But yeah, like being in a class, have you taken a firearms class at all yet, or?
I don't think I have.
I can't remember if you've taken something from Pete before when
I don't think I took anything from Pete.
Pete Italiano. If you guys are looking for somebody for some pretty amazing one-on-one in Eastern Idaho, look up Pete.
Nice.
He's a stud.
Good shout out there. But yeah, it brings up a good point that when you've learned to shoot this X, Y, and Z ways, and then you get into a class and it's a little bit different. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's just different.
It's nice to have perspective.
The different life experiences. So. So is there anything gun related that your dad does that you're just like, oh my God, like that makes you roll your eyes, or like
here we go. We were talking about this earlier today.
That makes you think he's gone overboard?
Let's just see. That's what I'm thinking.
When we're watching movies, and I knew he knew this was coming up, but and I do it too sometimes. But like when we're watching the show, he'll be watching and all of a sudden you just hear him mutter under his breath, oh, it wouldn't take that many bullets, or he wouldn't be stopped right there after one shot, or just stuff like that. And he's always criticizing.
Help it.
I know you can't.
Dispelling the myths play-by-play style.
Yeah,
that's much. Why I like the Wick movies so much, even though there's a lot of ridiculous stuff in there. At least they're trying.
Yeah.
He's got the training. Yeah, he's got the training of the operation of the firearms and stuff. So
it's not like Sicario or something that's wanted.
Heat was another pretty good one. You ever seen Heat? You might be too young for Heat.
I've heard of it. I just don't.
It's Val Kilmer, Al Pacino. I don't think Tom Sizemore's in it. It's a heist movie from like 1995.
Maybe I've seen it.
I think it's David Fincher.
I'll have to watch it. I can't remember.
But they have the whole, and Robert De Niro.
Yeah, that's when they're in
the bank with the M4s and body armor, and they get in the.
I think I have seen it.
It's in LA. Oh, really? It's rated. Well, you're 17. You can watch rated R movies.
Okay, I'm a terrible parent. He may have seen some rated R movies before he was.
I think that's maybe why and how I got into guns, because I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, maybe a little bit older. I was watching Die Hard, James Bond.
It's a great Christmas movie, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of the best. And yeah, I don't know.
It is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I know.
Here's a good question. Do you think your dad has too many guns that you know of? Got to qualify it.
Well, I could say you can never have too many guns.
That's
but
my boy.
A lot of people would obviously disagree on that.
Sure.
But
I only want one more.
There's never enough.
N+1.
But personally, I don't think he has enough. Like,
he doesn't have enough.
Maybe he has enough ARs, but I don't know if he has enough of anything else.
Oh, okay.
Honestly.
So is there? Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
I only have one.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of shooting like types or guns or whatever that you're into that he's not, or like vice versa? Like,
I don't know. Like, I guess everything he has, he's into, and that's what I have to shoot. So I kind of had to grow
just working with
a
what you
fond
got.
with him. I kind of grew fond of him.
You have one that you like particularly, right?
Quigley?
Oh, you like the Quigley?
I do love Quigley. Which other one?
My Sharps.
Yeah.
So what else do I have that's like, oh, that gun's awesome?
I don't know which one you're talking about. There's a few.
I know which one I'm talking.
Okay, which one are you talking about?
That Springfield that I.
Oh yeah, the Spartan.
The Cerakote, the Spartan. Yeah.
I wanted to conceal that, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let. He's not allowed to carry that gun in a defensive situation. That'd be bad.
That you never see it again. And
No. Well, it's. You've seen it. It's the one that we call it the Gamma.
Yeah.
The Gamma Cerakote pattern. Yeah, that would not turn out well in court.
No, I don't think so.
No. Not that I would encourage any negative.
So do you remember?
Gun modes.
So Steve? Do you remember how old Brigham was when he first shot? Do you remember taking him like where he shot for the first time?
I remember 3 years old with
a BB gun.
Yeah,
that's the first time I really remember you pulling the trigger. Mind you, I probably shot the BB gun more than he did.
Yeah,
because it was fun. And then I actually broke his BB gun because I shot it so much.
Oh man!
But yeah, you were probably about 3. I think.
I remember shooting the BB gun at 3 years old.
Yeah.
I think.
Nice.
About that age.
What? So, do you remember how old when you shot like a real firearm?
No, actually, I don't.
22, right? That would be 5. I think you were behind me when I was 5, and I was shooting your Ruger.
At 10/22.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. You'd remember better than me on that because I don't remember exactly how old you were.
And then as I got older, I just started getting it. And then, what was I, 10 when you gave me mine?
Yeah, probably.
About 8 to 10 when I got my 22.
Your first firearm.
Mm-hmm.
So what? As a dad, how did you decide that he was old enough, or maybe not even old enough, but ready to shoot a real firearm for the first time, or to even have kind of his own?
So, like in my experience, because I've taught kids classes before, it really is not an age thing,
right?
Because as you may have seen, being on the range supervising range activities, it definitely is not an age thing. It's a mentality thing, and so actually none of your. I guess Harley has a BB gun, but it really is when I feel like, he's capable of handling it himself, and I don't have to
micromanage everything I do.
Yeah.
Was there like one thing that made the decision, like, or was it like something that stuck out to you that like, okay, he's ready?
No, it was just that he's ready.
Overall,
he's ready to have one.
Yeah.
And he's been really good with that rifle. He still has it. We lost the magazine for it. It's been a tough magazine to find for some reason. But it's fun to shoot, just a little bolt action 22, and
nice.
It's accurate.
Very. I have to recite it. But
a lot of squirrels have been taken with that gun.
Yeah, that's true.
So you said you've gone out shooting with friends too a couple times. Do you ever have to worry about them being safe, or are they pretty?
No, they're really safe. Their dad's a Marine, so he taught them when they were younger. And my best friend's little brother, he's more into it than my best friend is. But we all just know. And we all know the safety of guns, and we have a designated spot that we all shoot at, and then when we're all out of that magazine, and then we go check and see how well we did. Mm-hmm. And we don't walk or do anything from behind or in front of the shooting line.
Yeah, nice to hear.
It is good to hear. Do you feel like I'm like overboard on safety? Do you think Dad, that's ridiculous? It's all right.
No.
Okay, good. Because you can't be overboard on safety.
Yeah. Do you think you ever want to work at a gun shop like your dad ever, or are you like, no, I just want to use it as enjoy it as a hobby? Or
I think if the opportunity did come up, then I'd definitely take it. But
you've helped a couple times out here in Independence.
Yeah, I have, and I didn't help at Guns and Gear. I was there. I just never really helped out. I was a little younger.
Yeah,
so I didn't.
That's true. You're kind of young to be behind the counter back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the reason I asked, going back to my own experiences, my dad was in the car business for like 40 years, and I grew up basically in a dealership or whatever, and I realized. I like cars when after I started driving them, but I do not want to work in a car dealership. It might be fun for like a year or like as a small stint or whatever, but like as a career, no way, man.
Guns are far more affordable than cars.
Relatively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in the grand scheme of things, but maybe not some of the ones that we have here next to us.
This room has guns that are as much as cars.
Yeah.
If not a little more.
Some of these are slightly valuable.
Speaking of, have you talk about exotics a little bit? Have you shot like a full auto before, or
I don't think
done
I
anything
have.
like
sure? I thought you shot.
Shooting?
No, I did shoot the.
So you shot a Modus.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And that was, the look on his face was awesome.
Yeah, that was probably
But
pretty
you were
fun.
like, what, 14 maybe?
Yeah, I shot the first one and then looked at him, and he's like, "Keep going." So I shot the other 4.
Butterfly triggers, man. Just push him down.
Boom,
Go for
boom,
it.
boom, boom. Yeah.
Oh, it was so fun.
I thought you've shot
I shot.
like the FN or something.
I don't think I shot the FN.
Well, we'll have to remedy that.
Yeah. We've got plenty here too. So, is there anything let me ask you this: Do you watch like gun videos and read stuff online about guns and stuff like that, or is it just kind of like a you and your dad thing, or and friends?
I'll look up, like, not as much as a lot of other people do, but like I'll watch videos, and like if I know that some, like with him, if he's watching a video, I'll sit down and watch it, and then ask who he's watching, and then watch a few of their videos every once in a while. And I read up on a lot of Second Amendment stuff.
Are you into politics then, and the Second Amendment and all the politics that kind of are the laws around it?
I'm not like super into it like a lot of other people are, but I look at it and I try to, like, I know my opinion, and so I try to like see why other people are thinking the other way, thinking the wrong way. But yeah.
Nice. Because it's kind of a complicated question, I guess, but do you feel like that, the gun world has space for like teenagers and younger people, or do you feel like this is kind of like an old guy thing?
Well, it depends, because I mean there are definitely older rifles that like only like, not to be
you
rude,
can say old guys, Steve's here, it's fine.
That's all right. I'm just barely older than Mark. So it's okay.
but the old guys, like, they definitely adore more than my age group would. But there is definitely room for us in this community, because like I know a ton of people who would love to just come here and just shoot a couple magazines out of whatever, just down the 100-yard range.
Yeah, just because we've talked about before where a lot of people have this notion of the gun world basically being old white guys. We just talked about it in the last episode that we don't think that that's true, because we see how diverse the gun community can be. But we've talked about too, kids and teenagers and young adults being the future of the Second Amendment and all that. And I'm just kind of curious to see what you think maybe that the future of the Second Amendment will be. When you're 25 or 30 years old.
I think it'll be a little harder because a lot more people aren't into guns as they used to be, but I know it'll at least still be around, because there's still a lot of us who love shooting and love guns.
Do you have any friends maybe like who are from cities or that live in cities or something that don't see the Second Amendment the same way you do?
Not really, no. I guess we're kind of more secluded, so a lot of my friends are in the same city we live in, but
yeah, small townish. Yeah.
Small townish, yeah. So we're just always around them, yeah. But I don't know. Everybody I know in Boise is pro-gun, so.
Well, you're blessed to live in a pretty pro-gun state,
Yeah, that's true.
So do you think, kind of along the lines of those same last few questions, do you think there's something that the gun community can do, not just me or Mark or even the store, but more in large to invite the younger crowd into the fold, so to speak?
It depends on what you mean by that. Like,
so is there
like
something
how to like get them into it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess it would just have to be like kids like me who just enjoy it, bringing their friends in and then taking them and starting them off with something that's not so intimidating looking, like maybe a 22 or something just a little bigger than that, and then having them go for a few magazines and see how they like it.
So I know as far as the industry side, there is a lot that they want to do with the youth, and there's some huge shooting leagues and stuff for the teenagers and even youngsters. But it's kind of a difficult hurdle in a way to get over. Sometimes their guardians are not on board.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's interesting that I think you're right. I think there's a lot of kids that want to get involved, and it's just for some reason it's kind of hard for not so much independence necessarily, but all the industry in general to really spark that light in the younger crowd?
I think, like you said, with Guardians, kind of being a little less onto the, like, being less pro-gun. I think as long as you set that seed into their mind of, like, how guns can be a good thing, I think as they get older, it could maybe spark that fire or start that, and just get them to come in, because they won't have to deal with their guardian after that. Like, when they're
At some point, they have to be adults.
yeah, so when they are adults, they might come in and see how it is.
Do you ever find yourself in I don't want to say deep two-way conversations, but somewhere you have to almost defend your understanding of the Second Amendment?
No, I wouldn't say I have to defend it, but a lot of friends and I have talked about, like, our views on it, and of course everybody has their own little view, I guess, like different ways they see it, but a lot of it is just we know that we need it and that it's important.
That's good.
Maybe the Second Amendment isn't going to disappear after all, like you said.
I hope not.
So you talked about, becoming an adult and moving on to that next stage of your life. I mean, you're pretty much right there, right?
Getting close.
That's scary.
So, because are you going to be a senior next year?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, well, sorry about. At least you didn't miss your graduation, but sorry about having to miss a whole semester of school. You've been
He doesn't
around.
care.
I was fine.
Yeah, I'm going back thinking of my junior year, and really nothing happened. It was kind of lame. So you might have dodged a bullet there, but as you go into your adult life, and you don't have to answer, but maybe you're going to college or thinking about it, or maybe you're going to trade school or just jumping right into the working world. Do you think, are you going to try to carry, like, everywhere you try to go, or like what, as you move into as adulthood and all that, what do you think, kind of how do firearms kind of fit into that?
Well, it depends, like, because I have a ton of opportunities. Mm-hmm. Like, as soon as I get to school, I can go to UTI and go into working on mechanics.
Yeah, he really likes working on cars a lot.
Yeah. I want to kind of go into law school too, just because I want to help defend whatever this Second Amendment and everything, all the injustice that happens in our political system. Marines have talked to me a lot too, and I've thought about it
over and over. And over.
Yeah.
Recruiters have been like sharks in bloody water.
Really?
With
Interesting.
Yeah, because like I said, my best friend, his dad was a Marine, so he's going in.
His brother's a Marine.
His brother's a Marine too, yeah. So he's gonna join, and he wants me to join. So he has a friendly face through boot camp, and we could be in the same platoon and everything through the buddy system.
Maybe
that's what they say will happen.
Trust me, recruiters say a lot of things.
You've said that a lot. But just so many opportunities that anywhere I could really fit it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting because you talked about, mechanics and in the trade school is, you work on cars now a little bit and engines and stuff like that?
Yeah, we have an auto tech program in our school.
Nice. Do you take apart, like, guns and clean them and stuff too, like afterwards, or like after shooting or whatever?
Yeah.
So do you kind of feel like that the mechanical mind kind of crosses over between cars and firearms a little bit?
Yeah. And for me, it happens a lot. Just the way I kind of think fits into both.
Has there been like a situation where you've been like, oh, that's just like how a semi-auto works, or like how a manual transmission works, or anything like that?
Kind of, yeah.
Anything just comes to mind? Yeah.
Well, that'd be cool if there was a clutch system in a full auto.
Just let this out, and then
that'd be so fun.
Oh, I stalled my machine gun.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you go the lawyer route, then you'll be able to probably afford any kind of car you want. So
and gun,
gun, including full auto. So.
And buy me some guns.
Yeah, you keep dreaming.
Oh, there you go.
There goes my retirement.
So, Steve, do you have anything you want to ask or anything else?
Is there something that you feel like I haven't taught you, or I need to be a little bit better at? Guns related, sorry.
It's not a lifestyle podcast.
No, like, I can't really think of anything. Then again, like, I've never, like, been into this, like, I haven't worked here, so I don't know like everything about the gun world.
Trust me, we don't either.
So I can't really say, like, because you know a lot more than I do.
I know a few things, yeah.
There's a lot that I don't know that maybe I do need to know that I just have no idea about.
Sure.
Comes with time.
Yeah.
It's just exposure, really. Like, yeah, I'd never shot a full auto until I worked in a range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true for a sizable percentage of people. I didn't even know you could rent full autos except for in Vegas.
Yeah.
Then I came here and they're just on the wall and all this kind of stuff.
Available to anybody just to touch?
No matter what, yeah.
Weird.
Is there anything that, you think that maybe just your generation or people in general that have assumption about guns that they don't, that like kind of the wrong assumption or maybe a misconception that you think, that you want to clear up?
Oh, a lot of kids I know, well, at least my generation and the one above mine, is like a lot of people judge the book by its cover. Like, if it looks scary, then it's got to be scary type thing. But really the thing is you gotta try it. Like, go into a gun store and start out with something lower so you can actually start getting used to like how to work it and how it functions, so you can learn the basics so you never mess up or have a mishap.
Right.
Is there anything on that safety aspect you've noticed that crossovers into your normal life?
Depends on how you mean. Like, what do you mean by that?
Are there any of the safety, like the general safety firearm rules that you notice, I got to be safe this way, I might as well be safe whatever, driving or whatever, anything you've seen like it crosses over?
I mean, I'd have to like actually think about it, and maybe
a little deep of a question.
I don't notice
foggy
it.
Question.
Yeah, maybe I don't notice it and it does happen. Like, I guess with auto tech, like, we use a lot of tools that you have to, like, one person has to use it, because if you don't, then somebody's gonna get hurt. Like a tire mounting station, if you don't, like, if you like keeping your arm, so like you have to kind of know how to work it, and I guess a few of those safety rules kind of apply. Like,
sure.
Nice.
What about like cordless tools and stuff?
Oh yeah, I noticed that I keep my
trigger
finger
discipline.
Yeah, I really have good trigger discipline with those.
Nail guns, for some reason, it's like
weird.
Yeah. Nice, man. Well, cool. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and letting us assault you with questions.
Did you think it'd be different than it was?
Yeah, a little bit.
What did you expect?
You bombarding me with questions.
Did you want to ask him the 5 questions?
I'll let you ask him the 5 questions if you want.
I don't remember the 5 questions.
I got the 5 questions right here.
I could show me them. So we every guest we've had on, we've asked these 5 questions that your dad has come up with, and it's just to kind of get to know the person, that we're interviewing, because we want people to know and that people, just because they're shooters and gun owners and stuff, doesn't mean they're not also people, And so we have these 5 questions that we ask everybody, and I feel honored to be able to ask these questions. Just in general.
I think it's probably better for you to ask them than me on this one.
Yeah, that's true. So
less biased.
You can answer as long or as short as you want. No pressure. But we'll start with number 1. Is what experience in your life has been the most influential, and why?
There's a few, I guess. Experiences influential. I don't really know. I guess a lot of experiences have led me to make choices that I think were really good for me to make in life and help shape the person I am.
That works. That's a good one. It's just saying the confluence of experiences.
There's all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, because I'm sure, as you well know, your dad's not just into guns. He's into a lot of different things, and so I get the feeling you're kind of similar way too. So
in a way,
it's a good thing to be.
Sometimes.
Number 2, you just won the lottery, like $1 trillion. All
right.
What's the first thing you do, and why?
Well, I'd keep some for myself, not to sell selfish, but like a little bit, and then give a little bit to each member of my immediate family, and then the rest would just go to like an orphanage to help fund for those kids to get adopted or whatever.
Man,
how practical.
That's nice. Very cool. What would be the first thing you would buy yourself? Would it be a car, a gun, house?
I would just keep it just
invest it.
Just in case a problem comes up.
There you go. Smart thinking. Number 3, what's your biggest fear?
I don't know. Like
raccoons.
No.
Sharks.
I guess it's mostly would be like losing somebody or like losing myself because of not realizing that I don't know how to word this. I guess making the wrong choice in life and then realizing it too far down the road and not being able to change that.
It's a good one. I will tell you that most I'd say 95% of things in life you can undo, or you can take a different direction for what it's worth.
Yeah.
It's never the end.
I know what you mean. I remember feeling that when I was like, God bless it, when I was your age.
It sounds old.
This is how you feel all the time, Steve.
Just wait.
But no, that's totally, it makes total sense. But I mean, for what it's worth, it sounds like you got a lot of options, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Number 4, what would you say is your biggest achievement?
I guess would be being the friend I am. I guess just being able to help, knowing that my friends know that they can come to me if they ever have a problem.
Nice. Like it. Number 5, and you can answer this honestly. You don't have to answer it the way that you probably think you should answer it.
Be honest.
All right.
Who would you consider your greatest hero and why?
Actually, I have 2.
I know one of them.
Who is one of them?
Hamilton.
No, actually.
What?
I do admire Hamilton, but it's you and Grandpa.
Really?
Yeah.
So why is that?
Well, my dad, it's just because through all the hardships that we've been through, even ones I don't know about, I'm sure, he's always kept food on the table, house was paid for and everything. He's always just been there when I needed to talk to him. And my grandpa, it's just, and I don't know if you know this, he went through a lot of stuff when I was in 6th and 7th grade. I didn't experience it because I was, like my cousin, when he was going to middle school, him and his older sister were just being bombarded with all the gossip.
A lot of negativity.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But since I wasn't in that school, I didn't get it. But just watching how he took it and how patient he seemed to be, and just kind of taught me that that's something you need.
Cool. Well, you should be proud, Steve.
I am proud of that.
You're not
kid.
crying, are you?
No. Oddly enough, no. I figured that's why I gave the phone to you. I was like, no, you get to ask these today.
I was wondering if we were going to get a tear out of you.
Yeah.
We got a tear out of Jared. I think we've got a couple other people get choked up with the 5 questions, but
that's the point.
Yeah, that means they're good questions. So, but no, Brigham, thanks, man.
Yeah, of course.
We'd love to have you on again. I don't know what we'll talk about, but because we asked every question known to man to you, so yeah.
Right on.
And if you are of the younger generation and you're listening and maybe you want to be on or have an issue you want to talk about or have us talk about, email us podcast@iishooting.com or find us on Facebook and Instagram at Range Minded Podcast. Although I'm going to go ahead and say this too, I don't think Facebook's going to be as popular with the younger generation as Instagram.
I'd say Instagram would be more popular with us.
Insta.
Yeah, because you said you don't have a Facebook, right?
Yeah, I got tired of all the crap that, like all the messages I was getting.
Just over it.
Yeah, so
It's for old people.
it is for you.
Well, I think on that note, we'll end it. So thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, guys, be safe.
Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook, or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.